Sure.
Okay, so our second speaker is here. Second speaker for today is Deepa Mahesh, a leadership facilitator, coach, and self-mastery expert. Now, Deepa combines expressive art therapy and positive psychology to help leaders discover authenticity and balance. Her philosophy reminds us that to lead others effectively, we must first learn to lead ourselves. Please help me join me Please join me in welcoming Deepa Mahesh. Deepa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity to be here and present my thoughts on this topic called embodied leadership presence in a quantified world. Now, honestly, it's quite different from what I just heard, the previous presentation, all about AI and balancing of human and systems. Here, I'm talking about the human system. Okay, the human system of sensing and presencing. So that is what we are going to focus on right now in the time that we have. And a little bit about me. I am a professional certified coach with about 2,600 hours of leadership coaching experience. My last assignment was with the Aditya Birla Group. I was the head of OD. I am a psychologist and also an expressive arts therapist. I'm also into movement and body work. And my core focus is to enable self mastery in humankind. So this is my core work. It's there. Yeah. Okay. Coming back to this. So let me. Somebody had asked about what is the topic. I had read in comments. So I'm going to first set the context of why this is important. So you will know what it is. I'm going to talk about the leadership iceberg. We'll talk about a framework that will help leadership in high stake moments. And finally, we will close with a 90-second presence protocol. Yeah. So this is what we are going to do. Now, just let's go to the story that I want to build. Now, let me share from my experiences two such stories. So there was a senior leader from a global tech company. She walked into her quarterly review and she had an impeccable presentation. It was a brilliant presentation. Yeah, the slides were great. It had all the productivity metrics. It had the achievements that the team had done, all of that. So she came into the boardroom, and she started presenting. But the moment she was about to present, she noticed something unsettling. What she noticed was that her leadership team was entirely quiet. So, can you see that the numbers showed great success, but in the energy of the room, it was very dense. So, she paused and she decided to ask, okay, how is everyone doing right now? So, then there was one voice from the leadership team who said that, yes, we have been hitting targets, but you know what? We are tired. We don't feel seen. We only feel measured. Can you see the difference? That yes, targets are important, but at what cost? So, what changed after this? She was able to be present to the fact that something was amiss in the team. So, while the statistics and the dashboard spoke, she also was able to read the energy in the room. Now, it takes somebody like her to be present, to sense, and to ask, okay, what's happening? Yeah. So, you know what? After that, everybody started talking. And in the next review meeting, what happened was the measurements and metrics didn't come down. But what they decided is they will not start the meeting with metrics. They will start the meeting with each one of them saying, what is that one emotion that I'm bringing into the meeting? That shifted the way she was leading. Yeah. So that is one example that I wanted to bring in. I want to bring in another example. Now, here is a senior leader from a global manufacturing company. The team had to make a decision. So the team identified all the projections, all the data points, trends, everything was analyzed. The gains, the pros, the cons, the timelines, everything was analyzed. Now, when this leader presented the data, everyone was quiet. Only the CFO nodded because the data seemed correct. Now, when the leader did not receive a response, he decided to pause and he asked, before we go further, can I check in? What are you all feeling about this metrics and this decision? And after a few minutes, there was one leader who came up from the meeting and said that honestly, I'm very anxious. I'm speaking for myself. I'm very anxious because if this decision is taken, it's a huge change that my team members have to go through. I'm not ready. I'm not sure if the team is ready for such a cultural shift. Now, data can be used to take decisions, but only data without caring for emotions and other aspects can be a disaster. The whole change management initiative can fall flat. So now this leader had got data. What he did is he asked the other team members. A few others had the same feeling that the teams could be anxious. So what was the step undertaken? They still decided to go with the decision, but not to announce the decision before doing certain things. What did they do? They listened, they did focus group discussions, they listened to the fears of people, they also revisited timelines. What was very aggressive earlier, they revisited those timelines, and what was supposed to be done in 2 months, they gave it 6 to 7 months. The actual implementation took 8 months, actually, honestly. But this leader, because he had listened to the team members and the fears and the anxieties, he could not just take a decision from the spreadsheet, but from the presence and the presence of the energy in that room. Now, I want to ask you, do you have such narratives? Okay. Do you have such examples? When last time, when a time when data helped you to decide, but your presence, or you observed a leader in your organization where the leader was present and that helped them lead holistically. If any one of you can raise your hand, then, one can speak. Nathaniel, what is your sense? Have you ever experienced this? Where not just data, but you take decisions from your sense, your presence, your reading of the room.
Mm, well, not exactly. I kind of like prefer using data in the sense that I like to get like a whole idea of what's going on before I actually make my decision and not just jump into making the decisions without,
Yeah,
getting the
yeah,
full picture.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And therefore, the topic today is about how do you balance in this world where data and quantifying everything, metrics, measures is so important. How do you not lose sight of your balance and your presence? That's the whole idea. And that is what we are trying to measure here. That's exactly what we are trying to do. Yeah. So now let me take you through another concept here. Yeah. Now, what happens in leadership? Can I just see what is the chat? Yes, sometimes you can have data signaling a path, but being present shows you the real perspective, the action. Absolutely. Absolutely. Invent. Um, yes, Nafisat, long time that we have met. So now what happens is for a leader, there are two different faculties. Now, I wanted to use the metaphor. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the metaphor of an iceberg. So in an iceberg, what happens is what is above the iceberg is visible. And what is below the iceberg is invisible. It is not seen. It is not heard. It can only be felt and sensed. So what is happening above the iceberg is the decisions that one takes from data, um, uh, from metrics, from measures, all the decisions that you take, all the conversations that you have, all the actions that come through you as a leader. So every leader, if you're a leader or you have leaders with you, uh, you have taken decisions based on dashboards and KPIs. But actually, what really happens is everything below the iceberg. Below the iceberg, your own iceberg, your human iceberg, you have beliefs, you have thoughts, you have emotions, you have energy, you have intentions, you have purpose. Okay, we forget that we have purpose, and sometimes we mindlessly take decisions. So, uh, leadership impact is shaped more by what happens below the iceberg and not just about what happens above. So, a leader is a great leader, is a good leader if they take just decisions based on data, based on quantity, quantifiable metrics, etc. But a good leader, a great leader, is someone who takes decisions based on presence and data. Like you said, Nathaniel, that you don't take data, you don't use only one metrics. So I invite you to write down your experiences. Where have you seen leaders where people have used both? Data is the final decision, but others think they're the core of decisions. Yes, because that is what you see happening. Very true, Bilal. You see the data is what makes. But um, the problem happens when it is not you're not mindful of it. So towards the end of the session, I will be sharing with you a presence protocol, a quick tip for how do you sense your energy and how do you tune your energy so that you can come to presence. Yeah. Any other sessions and any other thoughts on this? Data is the final decision. Because ultimately we have to justify in the world, we have to justify to our members, and hence that is what is the most important thing. Yeah. Now let me tell you what happens, this whole process of presence, how it works. Now what happens is, first you have the situation comes. Now, in a situation, what happens is there is uh, a major event that's happening. When the major event happens, what happens is you go back to your thoughts, you go back to your memories, you go back to your already always knowing memory of how did I take the decision. So in the past, you may have taken a decision only based on your data. Okay, so normally my way of making decisions is not always based on data. It is also based on emotions and feelings. Sometimes I take more decisions based on emotions and feelings than data. So what happens is you will not be able to justify why you took the decision. Okay, so what I needed to learn is how do I take decisions based on data also. But most people, when it comes to the corporate life, we are asked to justify why we took a particular decision. So because we have to give that justification, we go back to our past knowing of how did we take that decision. Now, when we know that this is how we took the decision, what happens is we are able to go to only data, only the quantifiable parameters. But um, have you ever had experiences where you have felt that, yes, I need to take this decision, but in your heart you feel, no, that's not true. I shouldn't do this. It could be personal example or a person or a professional example. I don't. Do you have any such example experiences?
Uh, I think Deepa, I'll get back to you on that one. I'm trying to recollect some, but immediately when I do, I'll get back to you on that one.
Sorry. Can you say again?
I said, right now I'm not getting one memory in mind, but immediately I do, I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay. So, because it is absolutely important to understand first how I take decisions. If I understand how I take decisions, then I will be able to change it. But if I'm always taking decisions based on data, I will not be able to change it. And then it will be a one-sided way of deciding. Yeah, is that so? Do you have any personal life example where you have been able to take decisions based on um, that, or based on your presence? Any such decisions? Okay, so what happens is when a situation happens and you are not able to connect to your presence, it feels like what it feels like, I have taken the right decision. Okay, but later on, what happens is the team will come back and say, no, you have not taken help or taken into consideration my thoughts at all. Now, when that happens, what happens is that you are totally out of your emotional realm. How many of you feel in this group that taking decisions based on emotions is wrong? If I'm too emotional in when I take decisions, then it's not okay. I should leave my emotions back at home and come here and operate from my head. Yes, Adam.
Yes, I was about to acknowledge what you are saying, and I was thinking about the question you asked me, and I guess I am guilty of taking decisions based on my emotion, even when it comes to work. And I found out that taking decisions based on emotions 99% of the time has not really been the right way because it actually doesn't give me the results that I am looking for.
Ah, okay. Exactly, correct. So then that becomes a memory. Okay, if this is what has happened to you, that becomes a memory, and next time the similar situation happens, you will exactly take decisions based on that. To change the way you decide, to change the way you lead, you'll need to change your memory, your thoughts, your emotions. Imagine if this leader would have decided, okay, that this is the I am going to go ahead with the change management initiative, and if he said that I'm going to go, I don't care. His thoughts would have been that, okay, I want to get it done in 3 months, and his memory would have said that this is the way I know, this is leadership. Okay, and this is the way I lead. If that would have happened, it would have been a big disaster and the change management efforts will fail. So, in leadership, the agility and the adaptability and also accessing your emotions and thoughts is as important in presence as taking decisions from a from the perspective of data. Okay. Now, when we talk about emotions, we don't learn in school or in college how to manage emotions. Unfortunately, I wish it was taught to us early on how to manage our emotions. So when we come into our life and much later also, we are not able to take decisions based on emotions. Now, I want to bring a framework which will help you to see when a leader is experiencing a stressful moment, what happens. There is something called a window of tolerance, and this is by Dr. Dan Siegel. So, what he says is when a leader experiences, or when anybody experiences a stressful moment, there is fear. They feel that I cannot handle this particular experience. When there is fear, two, three things happen. Either there is fight, there is flight, or freeze. Let's take the example of this leader where I talked about this manufacturing organization, where when only the CFO nodded and when others did not nod, this leader could have said, no, I'm going to do it whatever it wants, because it was a stressful situation for this leader because nobody was responding. Now he cannot finally go and do the change management by himself. He needs a team to come along with him. So he could have fought with them. He could have said, I don't care, I'm just moving on. Or he could have completely froze and caused inaction. But what did he do? He saw, he sensed, came down to the window of tolerance. The window of tolerance is a state where you are in an optimal state. Your mind can think, your emotions can flow, your body is functioning well, you're not in a state of stress. So remember, whenever you're in a state of stress, you will either go into hyperarousal, which is fight or flight mode, or hypoarousal, which is freeze mode. Okay, and both these modes will not allow you to take a holistic decision. You're not calm. You are in a very aroused. It's a state of hype. It's a state of arousal. And in this heightened state of activity inside, you will not be calm. So, if you want to take decisions holistically, and if you are in a space where you're challenged to take a decision, you first have to restore or return to a state of calm. Once you are calm, from that state of calmness, you will be able to stop the fight, flight, or freeze response and think calmly. In this moment, what do I do? That's exactly what those two leaders in the example I shared did. What did they do? They asked. They sensed, they asked. And after asking, they took appropriate actions. They didn't mindlessly think because the leader was very calm. Um, in both the examples, they could have gone back and said, no, I don't care about them. But they didn't do that. They were in experiencing, they came back to a state of calm and they were able to manage the team. Yeah. Any questions here? Because this is a very key thing. You can go back to your situation that you've been experiencing in the last few months now. Are you in a state of fight, flight, or freeze? And you take of your example as a leader. You don't need to look at leaders outside. You take of your example, and then you see if you're in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, then what happens? Yeah, you can't think. Your body is in a state of stuckness. You can't act, or it keeps acting, it keeps actioning. Your mind is, your emotions are overwhelmed, they're all over the place. Thoughts are incessant. Today, so many leaders are experiencing sleeplessness or not able to focus and take clear decisions. It's because of this hyperarousal or hypoarousal. Yeah. Now, when this happens, a lot because they are not in a position of calm, they are only able to take decisions from the state of data. But if you are regulated, if you are not triggered from any situation, then you're within the window of tolerance and you can be engaged in that decision, and you can take responsibility and accountability for the decision. Yeah. Any questions? It is not accurate without evidence. Yeah, absolutely right. So evidence is needed, but only evidence with data is accurate but not holistic. Does it have to do with self-awareness of a leader? Absolutely. Presence, like I said, it is only about self-awareness. In fact, I believe that for a leader, self-awareness precedes awareness of teams, leaders, and decisions. If- Everything. If you are self-aware, you will be able to have extreme presence and you'll be able to sense energy free. And when you are able to sense, you can take any decision. Yeah. So whether we are in an AI world or a human-centric world, self-awareness is the key. And self-awareness, and let me go back to the earlier slide. This is self-awareness. Self-awareness of your beliefs, of your self-awareness of your beliefs, of your emotions, of your energy. If I ask you right now, what are you feeling? Okay. Uh, can you type on chat? What are you feeling right now? Yes, emotional intelligence. Being aware of all the range of emotions. Okay, excited. Okay. Okay. Feeling exhausted. Yes. So am I exhausting you, Helen? Yeah, it must be after a long day. Happy, focused listening, excited. Yes, Bilal. Now, can you tell me how do you feel when you have typed this, when I'm asking you and you checked in? Especially Helen, when you're saying, yeah, when you're saying exhausted, as you say exhausted, how are you feeling? Okay. As you say drained, sleepy, as you're acknowledging the feelings, how are you feeling? What happens? Okay. Any thoughts, Helen? When I feel I'm being honest to myself. Yes, absolutely. Want to change my state of feeling. Yes, correct. So when you acknowledge, you will be able to go to the action. The body state is very much related. Yes, I want to change my state. Yes, I feel I can do much better than anyone as a reader since I totally understand what you're saying. Yes, absolutely. So self-awareness is nothing but presence. Yeah, super. So remember this whenever you don't acknowledge for a very long time. I have met leaders who have developed severe health problems. And why health problems? Because there is so much exhaustion and so much emotional charge in their daily life that they have not paused to take care and renew their body, their energy. And because that has not happened, and over a period of time, what has happened is that body has broken down. There is a breakdown in your body. There is exhaustion. I'm not able to get up. Even though I've had a nice 7 hours sleep, I'm not able to get up and go forward. Yeah. Okay. So now imagine this is the next thought question. Imagine that inner high stake leadership moment that you have. Okay, that you have to absolutely, you've been called to present or something like that. You have data which is very clear. You have a decision that you have to make. How will you decide? How will you lead? Will you lead by the dashboard, or will you lead or by checking inward, getting into self-awareness, and with an embodied presence? How will you lead? What is your reflection? How will you lead? Yeah, you can put it on chat. Yes, that's called a burnout. Yes. And burnout also, there are stages of burnout. So you reached, I have met leaders who are in the last stage of burnout. And and that means that for you to recover from that, the only way is to stop everything. You have to drop everything. Otherwise, you land into the hospital. First, you need to be calm and analyze the surroundings. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, analyzing data and going to the field to verify the data given to me and then decide. Yes, okay. Knowing what they are feeling, what their background and thinking will make you take the best decision. So, yeah, so Basundara will balance data with emotion. Absolutely. And balancing the data with emotion is the best, it's a middle ground. So you can take with your thoughts and emotions and finally back it up with data, and that makes it very holistic. Thank you. I think this was the main thing that I wanted to leave you a thought with. Now, what is a very simple framework to do it? Some of you have already shared this. I've just put it. It's called a 3R framework. Okay, regulate, relate, and reason. Just simple for you to think of. So the first one is to regulate. Now, regulate is when I'm in the hyperarousal or the hyperarousal, I come to the center and I look at, okay, what is the task at hand? Where is my breath? Where is my body? Placing my feet on the floor. All of those things you can do. Breathing, anchor myself, anchor in even the purpose. All of that is regulate. The first step is regulate. Before you take any action, don't go into action mindlessly. First, regulate. The second R is relate. Relate is nothing but connect. So, like somebody said, sense the room, sense the team's energy, sense everything in the room that is leading you to take to present whatever you're presenting or take that decision. Sense the energy in the room, and finally, reason. Respond with clarity and purpose. Because you would have already regulated, you will be able to very clearly connect the purpose to the data. So the data by itself is not meaningful, but if the data is connected to the purpose, there is enough reason. It's very clear. And then you can reason it out. This is a simple 3R framework to bring leadership presence plus dashboards. Yeah, any questions here? Some of you had already written this, in chat. Any Now you can also think, what are the pitfalls here?
Mhm.
Now,
We have a
easy thing is
question,
to go
Deepa.
reason. Sorry?
We have a question in the Q&A section. It says, can a person fluctuate between hyper and hypoarousal
Yes,
while
yes.
still on the topic of, yeah.
Yes, one can fluctuate between hyper and hypo, and both are coping mechanisms. Okay, the simple way to understand is both are coping mechanisms. Because I can't deal with the situation, if I look at it from this framework, because I can't regulate, I go into hypo or hyper. So the moment I regulate, I come into the window of tolerance. I don't need to fight, flight, or freeze. But if I'm used to fight, flight, and freeze as a pattern, okay, which is this one. Okay, if I'm used to, if in my memory, okay, I believe that I can't handle it, so I'm going to fight, flight, and freeze, then the same way the action will happen. So this image shows that how your patterns operate. If you have a pattern of decision making, it is operating because all the pattern is sitting below your iceberg. Even the way you respond here is a pattern. And you would have responded like this when you were a child. But you have not changed the pattern. So, as an adult, now that you're sitting in the room, to change the pattern, you have to say, okay, how else can I make it different? How my response? And therefore, you regulate, you will be able to shift. And every leader, great leader, the shift between good to great is self awareness and self regulation of your emotions. A great leader will never operate from fight, flight, freeze. Go back to the best leader that you know and somebody whom you really respect, adore, and love for the way they take decisions, they include you. They would be doing these three things. They would be regulating, which means their emotions are in complete control. They would be regulating. They would be connecting to everyone in the room. Not just in the room, they would also be connecting to the larger purpose, to their bosses who are outside the room. And then they will be responding with clarity. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. The difference between reaction and response is a stimulus comes and I quickly react. Response is a stimulus comes, I do the regulate, relate, and then I respond. So there is a space between the stimulus and the response. If you're in the hyper or the hypoarousal mode, a stimulus comes, you'll quickly respond. There is no space. And in this space, like that leader did, there was a stimulus, silence in the room. The person read it, the leader read the room and asked them the question, what's happening? And then responded with clarity on taking those decisions, shifting the timeline and all of that. So that is how they responded with clarity. Yeah. So go back to a similar a situation that you are experiencing now. It's a high stake moment, or it's a very stressful moment, that you're experiencing. Ex just explore how does it feel to first regulate. In your mind, just go through the situation and just see how it feels to regulate, relate, and reason with clarity. Reason can also be respond with clarity. Yeah. Any thoughts? Okay. And now I want to take you through a 90-second presence protocol. Yeah. To shift. Somebody talked about shifting their state, isn't it? Yeah. So shifting your state, how can you shift your state? Yeah. So I'm going to stop the slide sharing. I'll bring it back later. Now, what I'm going to invite you is to think of a situation in your life currently where it's high stake, a lot is at stake, and it's also stressful for you. It's a it's a stressful moment, and you have to take the right decision. And if you don't, then a lot is at stake. Yeah. And I'm just going to invite you first to, I'll just give 1 minute for you to think of that situation. Do you all have a situation? I'm hoping that you have one situation. Yeah. Now, first, okay, what you can do is that you can also either close your eyes or keep your eyes pointed downwards. Yeah. And when you're thinking of the situation, see how your body is feeling. Check in with your body, with your breath. How is my breath and how is my body? Am I feeling tensed? If I'm feeling tensed, which part of my body I'm feeling tensed? Is there a constriction? If I'm feeling anxious, then which part I'm feeling? So notice the body. So notice the second step is to name it. Name what's happening. Um, Tingling, or tension, or there's a rush, calm, of like a flutter. Okay, just observe. Now, I'm going to invite you for this particular situation. Since you're not in that situation, you're imagining it or thinking about it, go back to shift your focus now outward. Look at the people involved. Look at the place where this decision has to be made. Look at the purpose for which this decision has to be made. Look at um, the stakes or the consequences of the decision. Think about everything which is outward. People, the space, the consequences, purpose. Think of everything. And finally, take one deep breath. And a deep breath is when you breathe in, your stomach must go out. And when you breathe out, your stomach must come in. Take one deep breath. And now think, what data I have, what action can I take for this? And whatever action is coming, just note it down somewhere in your book. Note it down somewhere in your book. Yeah. So actually, it doesn't take much time. You can do it in 90 seconds with habit. So first step is notice. Notice your body sensation. Name what's happening inside. Shift your focus outward to people, space, purpose, consequences, all of that. Breathe and take the decision or act. This is a very simple presence protocol to, in this also data is there, but the data is coming towards the end. When you're acting, you will act based on data because in this state, in this step, the shift step, you have taken into account data also. So it's a very holistic way of taking an action based on inward and outward. Yeah. So this is a very quick, the 3R framework. And the 90-second presence protocol will be able to help you lead with presence. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And I just want to say that presence isn't just soft. It has advantages. And especially a present leader would be the team's favorite. Not necessary that they are being popular, but the leader says anything and the team will do because they know they will be listened to and heard. And when any employee is listened to and heard, they prefer that leader. Yeah. So presence with data is the way to go. Yeah. That's all I have for you today, friends. And thank you. You can connect with me. These are my coordinates. And I'm open now for any questions from your end. Yeah, I'm available on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content based on this perspective. So definitely you can reach out to me.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Deepa. That was really, really amazing. And yeah, I would really, really advise you to follow Deepa on LinkedIn. You'll find a lot of coaching insights and a lot of ideas and very, very informative posts that she makes on LinkedIn. So go ahead and follow her on LinkedIn. Yeah, so we'll take questions now. If you have any questions, just feel
I'll just
free
stop the
to drop
share.
them in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, just drop them in the chat box, or if you have any comments for Deepa, you can also do so in the chat. I think we have some time before
Yeah.
the next and final session. So just go ahead and drop them in the chat box or in the Q&A section. Okay, I can see this question here. I think this was for the last speaker.
Speaker. Okay.
Yes. I think this was for the last speaker.
Okay.
I think I'll just keep this in the box, or if you'd like to take a stab at it deeper, that would be fine too. But if not, I'll
Sure.
just
Sorry.
take this and then I'll probably send it to
Yeah.
her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's get your questions or comments in the chat box. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Session is so clear. Amazing. I will need to learn, analyze, and
Mhm.
understand well the situation. Yeah, I will balance the data with emotion. Yeah. So I request you to um, first change your belief that tools, techniques, data is as important as my self-awareness, presence, emotions, and um, sensing. Thank you, BKC. Any questions that you have? There is either everybody's understood everything or nothing.
Okay. Question, comments, guys. Let's.
Yeah, and I request you to go deep into this frameworks, all the frameworks shared. I'm sure the recordings are available. You can go back to the recordings once again and listen to it. But the key things are what I have shared.
Mhm.
I would like to work on self-awareness, emotion. We understand, I want to believe. Yes, yes, correct. I post a lot of content on self-awareness, emotional awareness, presence. So, sometimes if we have enough data coming to us, we walk on that path. So, Bilkisu, so you can stay in touch.
Okay. We have a question in the Q&A section. It
Okay.
says, how do you regulate your emotions when you are a very emotional person, especially with high cortisol levels?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So for a very emotional person, the thing is that emotional boundaries become very problematic. So emotions are like air. They keep flying, they keep flowing, and there is no stop to it. So the only way to regulate emotions is to observe it and name it. So when I'm in a very high impact situation, I may not be able to regulate. So after the situation has passed, I need to first look at self-awareness. I need to look at, oh, what happened? What was the emotion I was feeling? What was the trigger? And why did I react this way? So that next time something like that comes, I know how to handle it better. So you can't do, you can't regulate, especially when you're in a high impact situation. You need to learn regulation when you're not in a high impact situation so that when such a situation comes, you'll be able to use the muscle. It's like gymming. You gym and then you build the muscle over time. So emotional regulation is also a muscle built over time. Yeah, sure, Nkechi. Yeah, it's a very simple protocol. It's very easy. Okay. Any other questions in the Q&A?
None so far. Let me just
Okay.
check it. So, just-
Okay. I think this needs to be practiced. It's not from the head.
Okay. Yeah, we have one more from Juliet. It says, if a leader values only data, how can an emotionally aware person still add value, especially when the organization and manager only prioritizes data-driven decision and and I am an empath.
Yeah, it's a very tricky one, honestly.
Yeah.
If the organization and the manager prioritizes data, then very little somebody else can do about this. Again, it depends on power. If that manager is in a place of power, and that is their preference, then it will happen that way only. And most of the times, why I thought of this topic is most of the times it happens with data only. But because this theme is human centric, we think of human centric from the opposite person's perspective, but we don't think of we as a human. So the only way is to make them aware that there is another possibility. Now, taking decision based on presence and emotion there is a risk. So everybody cannot take the consequences of that risk. So there are pros and cons to this. And when that manager, whoever you're talking about, walks this path, then they can decide for themselves whether they want to change or not. You can't do it for them. Thank you.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, let's keep the questions coming, guys. Still time.
Thank you for the hearts and the claps. That's motivating.
Okay, I don't think there are any more questions. Yeah, so we'll call it a.
Yeah, maybe it's
We'll
all clear.
just. Yes, I think we can just wrap up the session.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Deepa. It
Thank,
was indeed a lovely session, and yeah, we hope to continue the conversation on LinkedIn and anywhere. Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you, Bilal.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. This is the second session for today. As we mentioned, we're going to be having 3 sessions. While we wait for the speaker, you can just use this time to maybe stretch a little bit, and we'll come back. Okay, it's already time. The speaker hasn't joined yet. Okay, so we'll just use this time to like just stretch a bit. If you'd like to maybe use a loo or something, this is the time. Okay, so yes, feel free to, share your details in the contact in the chat box. Just socialize. If you'd like to, there's an opportunity for you to network with. I think there's so many people here on the call today from across the globe. So feel free to use the chat to, network and meet new people and, share your contacts. So just give it a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes time to come back, and then we'll continue the rest of the session. Thank you.